All right, everybody, we're going to get started again here. Brian is much better at sticking to the script than I am. Next 3 slides I'm just going to kind of talk about, and he can generally forward the slides as we go along. But there's a couple key concepts that we want to make sure people understand moving forward here. And unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard about coordinated or centralized intake by now. HUD is requiring it for emergency solution grant and continuum of care programs. And I mean, they gave us some time to get it in, but we needed to be able to get certain functionality in the systems, kind of a baseline with which to begin working with you guys on the ground, your communities, your COCs, to design something that will either work custom just for your COC or something that we can use across the board. One of these concepts that coordinated or centralized intake won't work without is if you cannot enroll a client into the HMIS system unless they're homeless. So that's part of you know, from the previous training, the core features. You now have the ability to enroll clients into the system even if they're not homeless. And the idea behind this is so you can collect general assessment information that's not tied to a program stay. The second concept, and these are the kind of next 2 features that Brian's going to talk about, are referrals and along with that, wait lists. And the idea is what good is getting clients into the system if you can't do something with them or pass that information along. And so the concept here is that you should be able to take this information and electronically pass it to other agencies. Now, we understand, I guess the next slide is your kind of caveat slide, Brian, is that this is kind of the baseline. This is the functionality, I don't know, what am I trying to say, the foundation, if you will, for building coordinated assessment into PHMIS. It's going to take a lot of feedback from the communities and a lot of kind of co-design from all of us to figure out what exactly we need to collect to work well together. So we understand that these next 2 features probably won't be used very heavily, if at all, right at the beginning. And that's okay. If you feel like you need to be scared of this functionality, that's certainly okay. But it's there in case you want to start using it or want to start playing with it. What else did I want to say here? But you probably should not use it until your COC gives the go-ahead. You certainly may, but it won't be as useful as it's going to be down the road. Also, there's a couple other things. Collaborative referral groups, these are things that we're going to work with your HMIS leads and agency managers to set up. They're not something that's set up in the system yet. It's functionality that's built in. But basically, we have kind of 2 different types of groups. We have the entire HMIS system you could refer to, which is hundreds and hundreds of agencies. Or, especially around the concept of centralized intake, we figured that there were probably going to be people who were just going to be referring to the same agencies over and over. So we created these collaborative referral group abilities that we could set up agencies who work closely together, who have agreements in place. We could set these agencies up to work together down the road, and you could use solely those referral groups if you want. However, they're not in the system. The actual agencies that are participating together are not tied together yet. The other thing is there's a new thing the agency managers are going to be able to do in their setup screens. Caseworkers will not have access to this, but agency managers, because of this referral process, we recognize that certain agencies are not going to have certain program types that they offer. And with the interest of everybody playing in the same sandbox and having the best information as possible, we gave agency managers a way to designate what types of programs they will accept referrals to, or what type of programs do they offer, so that we could dynamically build in the referral tool kind of real-time information so that you're not referring to an agency that's just going to turn around and reject you. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Now that we've got some background on it, basic ideas and everything, we're going to kind of show you our base functions in the system. Like Dan said, probably not going to be used right off the bat, but we at least want to give everybody an idea of how they work, and we're going to work with everybody to make sure they're as efficient as possible. Within each client, there is basically, we added a referral waitlist tab that basically allows for the unlimited access of sending referrals for clients to other agencies. Referrals are considered transactional, and as is with other things in the system, we've also included the ability not just to send one client at a time, but also to send an entire household with a referral, and they are all together in a single transaction, either a referral transaction or, as you'll see, a waitlist transaction. It's not something that you can break out, so it's not something that you can, oh, well, I got 4 people in a referral, I want to accept 2 of them and decline the other 2. Just make sure everybody understands it's all transactionally based, how it's stored and everything in the system. And as you can see here, basically, for each client, and this is kind of the main central point where you're going to be creating transactions, where you're going to be creating outgoing referrals, as well as you'll see here, this is where you're going to be creating waitless requests within the system. Now, some requirements for creating a referral. As I said before, basically, unlimited access. Every user is going to have, as of right now, every user has access to the referral functionality. And basically, there's only 2 main data collection requirements to sending a referral. It's basically a client has to have a client profile in the system, which basically means they just have to have a name, and of course, the agency they're assigned to, as well as we do require a client to have an initial domestic violence assessment completed before sending a referral, because again, if they're a domestic violence client, we want to have to enact specific security protocols and make sure their data is as safe as possible. But once those 2 things are done, basically that client can be sent. Of course, if it only contains a name, might not be very useful to the accepting agency, but at this point in time, we will accept it. Basically, accepted referrals, what information gets transferred. Right now, it transfers, if it gets accepted, is all current client profile information that we kind of went over in the core training class, as well as any completed assessment that was collected within the last 30 days. So that information, as much as you keep it up to date, whatever assessments are added, as Dan said, kind of shifting the system to collect data on a client basis outside of the HUD-specific program types will be very useful when doing central intake and once this referral stuff gets off the ground. Now, please note, global data sharing policies, they are not required before sending any referral. Of course, you need them before you do any program enrollment, but it is not required before you do a referral, because some intakes may just take a name, some contact information, basic information. They're not going to be there to sign a client consent form, so we're not going to require that. However, if you're just sending a referral to just another agency in the system, basically only profile and assessments will go. However, once the collaborative referral groups are set up and agreements and policies are in place, we will allow those agency groups to share global sharing policies as well. Now, once you go into the Outgoing Referral tab, there's basically 3 basic sections it's broken up into. There's the Start Referral button, basically that starts the referral process, and we'll actually most of the class is going to be on that process. There's Pending Referrals, as well as the, I guess what we call historical transactions. All the pending ones are the ones that are currently being, that have sent out to other agencies, and you're awaiting responses for them to be processed. Then there's, of course, any referral that's been sent, either accepted, rejected. We kind of keep a little history there for that specific client, and they'll basically both be shown in each grid. Now, once you select the actual, as we show here, once you basically click the Start Referral, kind of following along the whole process-based thing, it'll kind of start the process of creating a referral for that specific client. The first step is 4 basic data elements that need to be collected. 3 of them are required. The first one is the referring site location. Basically, it provides a list of all the sites from which the user has access to administer services or even send referrals from. And it basically provides a kind of a starting place physical-wise, like setup location-wise, from where the clients are coming from. Referral type, now that can come in one of 3 flavors, depending on the type of needs the client has, and it's basically housing only, services only, and housing and services. So it provides 3 different general overview of what they need, and depending on the selection, kind of the rest of the remaining selections and options in the referral are based off those initial needs. The next one is the program type. Basically, we have a listing of all the program types in the system, such as, shelters, emergency shelter, permanent supportive housing, service-only programs. Now, depending on your referral type, the system will basically filter and provide you program types based on that. If it's housing only, you basically get housing program types. Services only, you get service program types, and if it's kind of the housing and services, the clients need both, it'll give you all of them. And basically, the system will allow you to select specific program types for the client's needs. And I'll kind of show you the next slide here. Basically, what the program type is supposed to represent is not only, the referral types of general category. This kind of says, hey, I know this client needs permanent housing, or he needs services only, or a VASH voucher, whatever it is. You can go ahead and add them there. It's one of those things where you can add 1 program type, you can add 5 program types. It's up to you. Or if you're not sure of the client's exact needs, you can leave it blank. It's kind of an optional thing at this point in time. Now, to basically add it, it's kind of a simple little drop down. You pick all the drop downs, you hit the plus button, and it basically gets added to this grid here. If you accidentally add one, you want to remove it, you basically check this box, hit the minus sign, and that's how you remove them. So it's a pretty easy process of adding and removing those program types. Now, the last selection is the agency selection, and this element is the actual partner agency or organization that the referral is actually who the clients are going to be sent to and whom they're requesting services for the included clients. Now, the agency list is both dynamically built off both, the referral type as well as the program type. As Dan kind of said, we're trying to put processes in the system to allow the system to kind of lead users to the most efficient place where they can actually, the clients can receive help. So depending on your program types and depending on what we talked about, that's why we kind of had to talk about both the collaborative agencies as well as the referral acceptance types. Within this drop-down, the system will only provide agencies that specifically meet the program types that were selected. So if, depending on your, if you don't add any program types, basically the system gives you every agency in the system. However, as you add more, say these clients need permanent supportive housing and SSO services. Now that'll probably trim that list way down because there's probably a lot of smaller subset of agencies that, both provide those program types and accept referrals from those program types. So it's one of those things, so if you add like 5 or 6 program types, odds are there's probably not going to be an agency that's going to match, so you might get 0 on the list, and you might have to pare back that list until, kind of work with the referral until you find the agency you want. Now, with the collaborating agencies, it basically allows a little checkbox, and if your agency eventually becomes part of a collaborating agency, it will be defaultly turned on. And basically, instead of seeing the entire agency list throughout the whole system, which Dan said, there's hundreds of agencies, it'll basically start and only give you the agencies within your collaborating ones, and you could be in more than one collaborating group that meets the previous program type filter. So we have a whole bunch of these smart options in the system that basically collect the client's needs and hopefully will smartly lead you to the best optimal agency in the system that can help these clients. Once that's all done, you basically hit next or continue, and the system actually goes into the next stage, which is kind of a combination stage of household selection plus what we call a data quality grid, which we'll show in the next slide. And basically, any current household member is going to be shown on the screen, and they actually are going to be checked by default. We figured that most referral transactions are going to be more household-based than client, individual-based. If you don't want to include a specific member, you basically uncheck them. Pretty straightforward to using that. Now, one thing here is multiple open referrals. The system, as of right now, doesn't allow the same client to have more than one open referral to the same agency. We just didn't think that having, since referrals can have multiple service requests on them, we didn't feel like having, a bunch of open referrals for the same client would be of the most interest. But so basically, the agency needs to process that referral before a new one can be sent. So if a client already has one sent to that agency, it basically won't allow the process to continue, as well as any household members. So basically, it's got filtering in there. So if it doesn't allow you to do that, it probably has an open one.
You can edit your referrals, though. We'll bring that up.
Yeah. Along with this household selection, it's kind of like the same screen here. What we have is what we call a data quality, our referral data quality scorecard. And it basically, all included clients provides kind of a quick snapshot of all the data that's currently collected for this client. And as you check and uncheck household members, basically they'll come and go on the data quality scorecard. It's basically built dynamically. And as you can see, each included client has their name and their age, plus 3 different data quality sets, basically the client profile percentage, the contact information, as well as included assessments. Now, the client profile percentage provides, we determined there to be 7 main data profile information data sets, date of birth, gender, ethnicity, veteran status, that sort of thing, that it provides a score on. If you've got all 7 of them, you get 100%. But as different ones are missing, basically the percentage will go down. Contact information basically provides information. It doesn't provide the actual phone number or email address, but it just shows which clients have it. And it can be either phone and email, or a none section. The last one is assessments included. And as we said before, basically when a referral is accepted, any assessment collected within the last 30 days will be copied over. This basically shows any assessment that has met that specific threshold. So this is a good way to, before you send the referral, to kind of, give you a little snapshot of, hey, this is the data that's going to be, sent to that receiving agency. Now, not only will the sending agency get this, but the receiving agency will also receive this. Now, depending on whatever local agreements you may have of, certain data collection, data quality standards, this is kind of be a little tool, and we'll probably, can add to it or change to it as we get feedback of what certain people need. So the odds of you sending a referral that has kind of bad data increases the chances of, they have 2 options. They could even send it back to request more client data, or even outright reject it if it's got pretty low data quality scores. Once that's done, once you're selected the household, happy with the data, you go ahead and hit continue again, and the system will open up the screen again, and you'll have about 4 more data elements to fill out. 2 of them are optional, 2 of them are required. The next ones are basically the staff member, priority level referral source, and also a section for referral notes. With the staff member, and this is an optional field, basically what it does is it provides all the active members available at the agency you're sending the referral to. So if in a situation, hey, I'm sending it specifically to this person, I know, I've been working with them, I know they're going to deal with that, we definitely recommend you to select it. Now, if it's one of those general type referrals where, well, I just know they're going to this agency, you can leave it on the default of all agency staff, and basically the system will kind of broadcast that referral to everybody at the agency, and it'll kind of become like a first-come, first-served thing. The first agency client that sees it, picks it up, kind of becomes theirs. The priority level basically denotes the urgency level, the priority of the referral itself. Comes in 3 flavors, high, medium, and low. Please use your best judgment for that. And also we've enacted a email notification system with these referrals, and based on this setting, it'll basically change the time frame and also the number of email notifications sent. Referral source, and we'll talk about that email stuff a little bit at the end of this section. Referral source is basically a drop down of all predefined list of where the referral came from. You know, it could be emergency shelter staff or hospital staff. It's got a whole bunch of selections. The last one is referral notes. That is optional. You don't have to fill it in, but it provides a little text box. We do recommend, especially if you're just sending it to like a generalized referral, to type in, you know, some information about the clients, what they're looking for. Just will help the receiving agency know what's coming down the pike. Now, depending on the referral type selected, the process differs on different service requests that you can add to the actual referral after all those data elements are done. And they're kind of broken into 2 major categories. Referrals are either service-based, and that provides for the request of like support services, and it allows for some optional features there, like requesting a site location or even a waitlist request. And then there's the housing-based referrals, in which the clients are looking for housing. And when that's selected, it basically requires the clients to either be placed in a placed in a reservation or be put on a waitlist request. So you basically need to do something to work, try to get those clients housing before you send the referral itself. We'll kind of break those down coming up next and kind of start with the service-based referrals. Now, any referral with a referral type, and depending on the referral type is kind of which way the next part of the referral goes. Any referral type of services only, which basically denotes, hey, it's only a service-based referral, no housing is included. You have the ability and it's an optional ability, to select which site to actually send those included clients. The system will basically provide you a little grid of all the program types, programs, and site locations that that specific agency provides. What you can do is click on an individual record, and you can do them one at a time. And what it does is it enables what we call a site info button. So what it does is when you click that site info button, it basically brings up a whole bunch of information about that site. You know, site type, housing type, contact information, address information, and you can kind of go through them one at a time to see what the best location information it has, possibly for those clients. Again, this is an optional step. This doesn't need to be needed, but it can help increase the potency of the referral. If you want to accept a specific site, you basically click on it, hit accept, and then that location will be attached to that referral. Now, for housing-based referrals, it gets a little bit, kind of takes 2 different avenues there. As we said before, housing-based referrals require either a reservation or a waitlist request to accompany the transaction. And a referral that's housing-based has a referral type of either housing only or housing and services. Basically, the housing always, you know, the housing needs always trumps, always takes precedence over that. And we'll kind of start with the reservation part. Whenever you go into a housing-based referral, the system will basically provide you with all the inventory records that are available at that agency. Basically shows the program type, program name, site. Then it kind of provides a breakdown based on the 3 different inventory types we have, beds, units, and vouchers. It shows the total number that they have, plus the open or vacant inventory that they have as well. And this is kind of one of the reasons we kind of said real-time during the inventory stuff, because once referral gets off the ground, unless inventory is kind of done on at least a daily basis, so that when this information is broadcasted out during referrals, it's not going to be very useful. Now, for those inventory records that have no open beds, they're just going to be shown like this transitional program has 5 beds and 4 units, but currently they say there's none that are open or vacant. It'll just be colored in gray. However, those inventory records that have open occupancy in any one of these inventory items will be colored in green, and hopefully that'll those are the ones that you want to kind of draw your attention to. Now, as with kind of the site locations, you can actually click on each one of those inventory records, and you can only do it one at a time. It's basically a one shot at a time. It'll kind of color it in yellow and say, hey, this is the record I'm on, and basically it opens up two different options. There's basically a view inventory option and what we call a site info reservation option. Now, the view inventory option is basically it's a review screen. Like if you click that button, basically the system in a new window will load the review screen of that inventory. You know, the one we basically talked about that basically will show all available inventory. Also the statuses, it's got the little icons of who's in it, who's not, can provide a lot of good information for that inventory. Now, the Site Info Reservations button basically provides two things. A, it provides the site information for that, where that inventory is located. You know, pretty much the same information, address, phone number, site type, house type, as well as if that inventory has open available beds, units, or vouchers, it basically provides a reservation tool for which you can kind of give those clients a soft reservation when sending over that referral. Now, for that reservation tool, it requires each client to be assigned to their own inventory item before allowing the reservation to be finalized. Currently, the system doesn't allow for any partial reservations. So if you have 3 clients associated to the referral, it won't allow you to send the referral with only 2 of them or assigned a reservation. So it's kind of an all or nothing thing with reservations. Also, a couple other rules with reservations: you're not allowed to split them up between records, meaning you can't send one person to a transitional housing inventory site and another person to a permanent supportive housing site. You need to, it all has to be done within one inventory record, basically to avoid confusion, keep all the clients together. The last rule is within the inventory types, when you finally found an inventory record that looks like it supports the demands for these clients included, all the clients can only be placed into a single inventory type. So basically all of them need to be put into beds, or all of them into units, or all of them into a voucher. There can't be a mismatch where you put one guy in a bed and one guy in a voucher. At this point in time, it's an all or nothing thing, or all or nothing thing. How it kind of works is there's basically a nice selection list here where the first thing that needs to be selected is the inventory type, and the system, of course, smartly dynamically builds these based on what's available within that inventory. When you associate the first, bed, unit, or voucher, whichever person you select first, since they all need to be the same type, the system automatically will fill it into the others. Then depending on what type you choose, you might have to fill in 1 more or 2 more data elements. If it's a better voucher, since that's just a single item, basically you need to put each individual person into either that bed or the voucher that they're looking for. If it's a unit, basically you need to select the unit and then the bed in the unit that you want to actually reserve for these clients. Now, although that we allow only a single inventory type, you are allowed to mismatch. While beds, of course, they all need to be in different beds, but you can mismatch vouchers as well as units if you so need to at least secure these reservations for these clients. One last thing is with the once you've finally, finalized the process and you got everybody in an inventory item, basically you just need to click the reserve button. And at that point in time, the system will automatically reserve those beds within that agency's inventory. You don't need to wait until the referral's done. We want this to be as real-time a process as possible so that, other people doing referrals don't accidentally, see that inventory is open and maybe try to grab it. But one note about these reservations they are what we call as soft reservations. Kind of just puts a hold on those items so that other agencies looking for referrals don't grab them as well or try to put clients into them. Ultimately, it doesn't mean, those clients are definitely going to get those beds at that agency. Ultimately, the reservations still are controlled by that receiving agency. Now, they might accept the clients and, hey, put those people into the beds they reserve. However, you know, if something happens and the client should receive, you know, arrive late, or, you know, they have, you know, additional clients come into the agency and they need to use them, they can overwrite those reservations. So basically, like I said, all the control is on the receiving agency. We want to make sure everybody kind of understands that process. Now, the system also allows clients to be associated to what we call a waitlist request. Now, waitlist requests can be used not only for housing-based referrals, but also service-based referrals as well. Now, for the housing-based, if there's a certain circumstance where, you know, a reservation can't be had, you know, you can't find any open inventory, but you know you want to send them to that agency, or they might have open inventory, but the situation just doesn't, you know, they need to be put into a unit, but it just doesn't meet there. You do need to, at the very least, add them to what we call a waitlist request when sending that referral. And basically, simply, you just click this Add to Waitlist button, and then the system will basically begin the process of creating that waitlist transaction. A lot of the, some of the information already collected in the referral will be used for this waitlist transaction. So these are kind of additional elements that also need to be collected for these clients. And it involves the waitlist priority, which basically makes up, there's about 7 different priorities you can give them. It goes from anywhere from high, you know, all the way down to very low. That basically it's kind of shows the urgency of their specific needs. The client's overall housing status. Basically, it's the same defined list as when enrolling clients into programs. The add to waitlist date. This is the date that, you know, they should be added to the waitlist. The system actually always defaults to the current date, but you can change that if you feel it's needed. And then there's 2 contact information fields. These are basically kind of just blank text fields that allows you to kind of freehand in any contact information. The system requires at least 1 set of contact information to be put in. The secondary alternate is optional to do that. Now, once all that information is in, basically all you have to do is hit Add to Waitlist, and basically the system will create that waitlist transaction and associate it to the referral. Now, one thing to note that it is just that's why I keep saying waitlist request. We don't actually add these clients to that other agency's waitlist. Again, it's all under the control of the receiving agency. Once they receive the referral, they'll have some options that we'll show you during the incoming referral process, and they are under the control of actually, you know, maybe they want to accept them and roll them right into some inventory or right into a program. There's no need. They can override that, or they need to specifically put them on the wait list. So again, it's just a request. At this point in time, once those information are fulfilled, depending on the requirements of a service or housing-based referral, basically the refer button at the bottom of the screen needs to be selected, and it's kind of got smart logic that it'll only become available once all the requirements are met. Once you click that, the system will basically, we always ask that you look for a little confirmation message. They'll both be at the top or the bottom of the screen. That basically says, hey, the referral for, it'll include all the included clients, has been sent. Once you get this kind of confirmation message, you can feel pretty comfortable that the referral was sent and the agency should receive it. Another feature that we have in it is called what we call like a printable version. Any created referral, whether it's just recently sent or whether it is an existing referral, we'll have this option at the bottom of the screen, and you can just click on it, and it'll basically load a new screen that basically provides you with a nice printable format that you can either use for your own records, or you can provide to the clients themselves. You know, you can say, here's your referral, here's the site information, contact information, and kind of give them a little bit of information about where they're going as well. Before we get into the incoming referrals, there are a couple outgoing referral functions. Once a referral is sent, that can be performed from the sending agency. When they go into an existing referral, there's suspend referral and cancel referral. And basically, these are only options, like I said, on the sending agency side. Basically, the cancel option, when you select it, what it'll do is it permanently cancels the referral. Basically, kind of retires it. And it could be used if the referral is mistakenly sent, or maybe the client, the referral hasn't been answered, the receiving agency hasn't returned any, accepted it, and you found other ways to help the client, you can use that option. The other one is suspend, and what that does is it doesn't cancel the referral, but it kind of temporarily freezes it, kind of puts it on hiatus, so that the receiving agency can't really accept it or do anything, but it does still stay in everybody's queue. We kind of developed this feature for certain instances where maybe you send the referral and you realize, ooh, I forgot to add these assessments to these clients, and you don't want the receiving agency to download or import the client, so you can quickly suspend it, add whatever data, you need to the client, and then go on your way. And just note, these options are only available once you send it on, if the receiving client agency hasn't done anything with it. Now, if the receiving agency accepts it or does whatever with it, that's, you need to get to it before that point. All right, Referral Access, all outgoing referrals can be tracked within each client profile, as we showed you within that Outgoing Referrals tab, every referral sent for a specific client will be there. But we also kind of developed a generalized referral section that's available to all users, and it's right directly on the start page. By clicking on it, basically provides two tabs, basically, one for outgoing referrals, one for incoming referrals, and each of them are broken up into the pending and the history, so you always have the referrals that you sent there. The pending ones are always in the powder blue, kind of right there in your face, and shows information about the referral, the type, as well as the status, so you can keep tabs on it. And also when we show you the incoming one, how do you accept incoming one? So it's a good place to be. Now we're going to kind of switch gears here. Now that we kind of know how to send an outgoing referral, kind of change gears to the incoming ones. Once a referral's been sent, basically the agencies need to locate and access these referral tools located on each user's action menu. Basically, once you go into the incoming session, you'll basically have the same pending and historical transactions. Of course, any pending ones should be looked at, reviewed as soon as possible. Now, within this area, there's basically a filter. Now, by default, when you go into this area, it's basically turned on to user. So basically, whoever you are, basically, when you look at the screen, it's going to show you all your transactions that are just yours. So ones that are just sent directly to you or ones you've picked up, that's going to be there. Now, there is also a filter for agency-based transactions that you can flip to kind of see, everybody's all the referrals to the agency. It can be useful, say someone calls up and says, hey, I sent a referral to someone and they haven't received it, and you go, oh, well, that person was on vacation or something like that, so that everybody still has the ability, so referrals aren't lost in the system. Now, the referral record that I showed consists of, the ID, who it was sent from, household information such as the name, the size, the type, what kind of referral it is, as well as when it was sent, as well as the pending status. Now, basically to load a referral, whether it's outgoing or incoming, basically just click on the record, kind of how all the record works in the entire system, and it basically shows you all the information that was related to it. Shows things, such as referral type, what program types are assigned to it. It's got a little information section here that shows who it was sent from, when, and what staff actually sent the referral. Kind of provides information that should provide some kind of determination to what the appropriate action is. You need to review it a little bit. Do you have space for them if it's a pending reservation or something, because it also shows all that kind of information, whether it's a site location, waitlist request, that sort of thing. And it also has got a number of actions. As you see here, there's 5 separate actions that can be done to process that specific referral, and we'll kind of get into those in a couple of slides. But as we said before, not only do sending agencies see the data quality scorecard, but so can the receiving agencies to kind of get a glimpse of, hey, if I accept this referral, what kind of data am I importing into my agency? Basically, you click on this button, and it'll open up, show and hide, and it basically shows, the 3 basic information for, categories that all the included clients have. Pretty good information there. Also, within the referral records themselves, it provides a kind of a little forewarning if it's a housing-only referral, what kind of referral it is. Because housing, they either have to have reservations or a waitlist request. For those, they'll have a little R and a little W by them. Kind of gives a little precursor to when, what kind of referral you're looking at, what kind of service request is coming in from those clients. Now, once kind of have an idea what you're going to do with it, they included information in it. Probably want to look over the referral notes as well to see what kind of, additional information has been added to it. There's 5 distinct actions that can be used to process an incoming referral. Two of the acceptance options are below, which basically accept referral as well as accept referral and enroll. The accept referral, this action sets the referral basically to accepted, kind of closes it out, and all it does is, what it does is it imports the included clients into your agency. Basically a nice, easy step. Now, the accept referral and enroll kind of does the same thing, sets to accepted, imports the clients, but what it also does is it takes the user directly to the program enrollment screen, basically of one of the clients in the referral, and basically provides you an option to, all right, I want to import these clients and put them right into a program. So it's kind of a nice seamless process there. But please note that this is only available for those collaborative referral group referrals because unless a global data sharing policy is copied over, there's no real need to take you directly to the enrollment screen only to have you kind of stopped from, having to recollect the global data sharing information. Now, please note that when enacting either of these acceptance functions, any referral that contains a waitlist request will not be processed. So if it's got a waitlist request on it, we'll actually show you there's another accept that's basically accept and add to waitlist. It'll basically be ignored. So I want to make sure everybody's aware of what these two accept functions do. Now, the next one, as we said, is basically accept referral and add to waitlist. This action, puts the referral accepted, imports the clients, and also creates a waitlist transaction. Now, there's two different features it does. Now, if the referral already includes a waitlist request, it basically just imports the clients and bam, it's already collected the information during the referral. It'll automatically just create a transaction, put it on your agency's waitlist. However, if the referral doesn't currently have a waitlist request, the system allows you to create one on the fly. So maybe they come in and maybe they have a soft reservation, or it's a service-based request and you can't fulfill it. You basically can use this option to put them on the waitlist on the fly. And when using this option, it'll basically import the client, set it to accepted, and it'll take you to actually the waitlist creation screen, where basically it'll ask for those additional data elements, like waitlist priority, housing status, add to waitlist date. Once you fill out that information, then the waitlist transaction will be created. We do mention that for any referral that does contain a waitlist request, we do recommend using this feature, to at least put them on the waitlist unless there's some immediate action that you can do. If you're like, well, I know I can, put them directly in a program if it's service-based, or I know I can put them directly in the inventory, then you can bypass the waitlist. But in any other circumstances, we do recommend taking a look at, putting them directly on the waitlist. All right, there's two more actions that can be done. Basically, request more data as well as reject the referral. When the client's, the transaction comes in for whatever reason, that's why we have those data quality scorecards. If they're deficient, the system allows the receiving agency to basically set the referral to request more data. Basically, what that does is it sets it back to the sending agency with this status. And basically it does require the user to add in some receiving notes. You should put in, hey, client one should, have this assessment or that assessment. Basically a way to not reject it, but basically ask the sending agency for more information. Now with the request more data, if you do set it to that, as well as the suspended status, I forgot to mention that during that. Those are kind of like almost like not directly acceptance or cancels. Basically, they're intermediate processes asking for more information. If either of these statuses are set, the system kind of keeps track of them, and if they're not answered or set back to pending within 8 days, the system will automatically cancel them. And we'll talk a little bit about that you'll get email notifications about this so that you're not just blind and it just doesn't cancel it on you. Reject referral is basically what it is. It rejects the referral outright, effectively cancels the transaction. Could be because you don't have any place to put the clients, or maybe it accidentally got sent to you incorrectly. So those are basically the 5 features of what you can do with those referrals when they come in. Now, what happens when you do accept the referral? Basically, all the included clients are imported in the receiving agency. All relevant profile data, assessment data, as well as possible data sharing policies are pulled right in. Now, during this process, the system does go through a number of client duplication checks, almost like when you're creating a new client in your agency or globally importing somebody into your agency. The system checks clients and households to see if there's any duplicates in the system. If there are any found, what it tries to do is either merge them, or it possibly could flag them as a possible or full match. Now, due to the referral import process, expected frequency, once it gets off the ground, we can see, especially the collaborative referral groups, kind of sending a lot of the same clients back and forth between each other. We really tried to put a lot of intelligent and precise logic in there. To really try to recognize, the system should recognize, hey, I've seen that client before. He's been in a referral that you sent before. He's the same guy that's in the agency. To allow for even smarter duplicate merging logic, so there's not a lot of, same guy keeps being referred to your agency, and you have to keep merging them after the fact. So we hope that logic in there will make things a lot better, especially once this referral process gets off the ground. Now, one last thing that it does is kind of, a better term for it, I kind of call it our household straggler rule, and it basically, along with the, being smart enough to determine who's been sent in referrals before between 2 agencies, if the system identifies any client that is part of a household that's already been sent before, the system will recognize that and kind of prompt the user to determine, hey, we noticed that, you had some other household members that were referred over earlier. Now you're coming over. Do you want to be put with that same household that you were with from your sending agency, or do you want to be put into a new household? So it kind of provides smart logic with that. If that comes up before the import process can finish, you'll kind of get a little screen here with a little feature here, and it basically will show all the households and the household members of the current households in the accepting agency that has the same members. And you can either select that agency or select that household to add that client to that household, or if you kind of make the decision of, no, they may have been the same household in that other agency, but I know I want to treat them separately in this one, you can go ahead and click Create New Household, and it'll put them in their own household. Again, this is one of those things that we kind of just identify, and we need your help to make the correct decision on what we should do with that data. Referral notifications. HMIS has implemented an email notification system that sends out emails to agency users, both when referrals are created, also when referrals are changed to statuses that require user attention. Basically, those suspended and request more data. Any new referral that's sent out, depending on their priority level, kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, whether it's high, low, or medium. The system will send out an initial email, and also reminder emails might escalate to agency manager, and the time frames and the lengths and everything that you get will depend on the priority. If it's a high priority, you'll get more emails, in a quicker time. If it's low, you'll probably get them a little bit later. Now, same thing with the suspended or request more data. Anytime those statuses are set, the system will basically send out an initial email, and until those referrals are dealt with, processed, the system will keep sending emails to kind of remind you, saying, hey, You know, got a referral out there that needs attention. You know, however, if you accept it or reject it or whatever, the emails will stop because there's no need to send out reminders. Now, if referrals go untouched for a predefined time period, depending on, you know, their status, the system will automatically cancel these referrals and any, you know, reservations they may have, depending on the priority level between an 8 and 10-day time frame, depending on the scenario. Now, you will get a cancel email that kind of basically says, hey, you know, it's kind of been sitting out there for a long time, we're going to cancel it. So just be aware of these options. Now, along with this email process, we want to try to collect the best possible contact information there is, especially even with the basic notifications we send out, you know, the mailers for the trainings and everything. What we have to use in the system is basically the email address associated with your account. Now, a lot of times, probably half of them are good email addresses, but because of the way we use a third-party PA PowerPoint system, we do have a lot of users that aren't using their primary email address. You know, they had to make up a Gmail account or a Hotmail account to basically get registered with the system. So what we're going to do is basically add a contact email address field that's basically unrelated to any kind of account information or registration process that you can go in and fill in with your email address that you would prefer to be your primary contact. Now, if your account email address is the one you want to send to, you don't need to do anything. However, it's not. We do recommend you go in, fill it out, save your profile, because what we're going to do is the referral emails, and we're also, once these contacts start getting filled in, we're going to start building our contact list off basically a combination of these two. And what we're going to do is first look at this contact email address. If it's filled out, we're going to assume that's your primary, and we're going to use that one. However, if it's you know, left blank, then we're going to go back to the old system and use your current account information. So we hope that you know, helps bouncing emails and everybody getting the information that they need.